Hey guys, what is up? This is Tiggy Maximus with Tiggy Maximus Talks, episode 199. Can you believe it? 199 episodes on Spotify and YouTube. And thank you guys for listening, following it to the podcast, donating to the podcast. Spread the word to your friends and family. There's also a link on my YouTube episodes where you can make a donation to the podcast, because it will take you to the Spotify episodes where it has a link where it allows you guys to donate to the podcast. You can donate as little as 99 cents a month. So that's basically $12 a year, and if hundreds and hundreds of you donate $12 a year, it might actually start to add up. Anywho, I'm glad I got to make this podcast because, you guys get to listen to what I think about comedy shows and food places, and what's going on in the sports world, and also, comedy shows, food places, and more sports. So that's how it goes. And of course, you guys are on this journey with me. Whoever knows how long this will take. Could be 2,000 episodes, 3,000 episodes. Who knows? I might be the first one with 1,000,000 episodes. So let's keep the count going. On this episode of the Tiggy Maximus Talks, let's talk about 2 comedy shows and see how well the Padres and Chargers are doing. So let's do it. This might be 2 parts to the episode. So I did go to a comedy show, Good Bar in Point Loma. It was Kacklez, which is run by Victor Paz Jr. and Shane Chase. 2 great comedians, 2 great guys. They seem to put on always great lineups, especially on a Wednesday night. And Wednesday night usually is the beginning of the end of the week in most ways or some ways, and the fact that you can get great comics on a Wednesday night. These guys know what they're doing, and when I go to their shows, I know I'm going to get a good crop of good comedians, and that's good that they do kind of survey, screen their selection of comics, and realize that they know that some of these are really good. They know they can put a lineup with these people, and you got to, you know that these crowds will always keep getting bigger and bigger, to the point where you're gonna start moving chairs around and realize that, sometimes if you might have to have a standing room at some point. I always like to sit in my usual spot. There's a little, it's not exactly a bar stool, but it is a bar stool that you're sitting on, but you're not at the bar. Your back is to the bar, actually. There's a little bench area with bar stools, and it's actually facing towards the stage. So that's pretty much my spot. Anytime I show up to a show there, I will be there. Always get a good view. I always like to have center view because I don't like turning to this side. But I know that to get the best configuration possible, you're going to have some seats, some tables situated as such, because you're trying to get more people in there, and it gets to a point where, more people means more money, and more people to get exposed. And then more of these people will tell their friends, and they will tell their friends, and then at future shows, I might be unfortunate to not even find a seat. I might actually have to stand for the show. That's actually a good sign, actually, if you think about it, for any comedy show. Anywho, they actually had, both guys actually got themselves onto the lineup, which means they had a host. And that host was the first time I've ever met in my life, but we've been basically, we followed each other on Instagram, and we finally got to meet, and his name is Chris Angel. Now you're probably thinking, Chris Angel, the magician? Unfortunately, no. But what's even better is that you get Chris Angel, the comedian. Really tall guy, really nice guy. He started off things for Kacklez show. He has some great jokes to start off. Now, granted, this is my first time seeing him, and the crowd, I want to say the crowd laughed for at least half of his set. That's a good indication of how funny he is. There were some moments where I think that I've been kind of anticipating to see where this punchline is going when he had a joke or two out, but he does get some good laughs from the crowd, so it's good that he had more than half of his set with laughs. So I want to say Chris Angel was 8.3 out of 10. He then introduced our next comic, which is my first time seeing this lady, Christy Guy. It's kind of cool listening to Christy Guy. She did talk about, I believe she talked about dating. She did get some good laughs from the crowd, actually, and I was kind of glad, because this should be a good lineup, and she kind of she did her part, and she got some good laughs also for more than half of her set as well. And I actually enjoyed it when I was listening into it from the back. So, and also she's a really nice person too, so she's a really great person to talk to. I want to say Christy was a 8.5 out of 10. The next person to go up, I believe, was Shane Chase. And Shane Chase, Shane Chase. Yeah, Shane Chase. I actually finally got to listen to a full set of his, and I wasn't distracted this time. I wasn't a no-show. I wasn't a late attendee. For some strange reason, when it comes to Shane Chase, that I keep missing his entire... I can never get to his full set. Either he went on before I showed up, or I show up halfway through, or my back is turned while I'm trying to order something, or I get into a conversation with somebody way in the back that we're to the point where you can't really hear me. But every single time I try to figure out something, how to get to a set. And there was one time I actually got sick, and it was at this new spot that I'm not aware of where they had comedy shows, but I never made it. But I do remember that Rachel Lloyd and Shane Chase were on it. So, but finally I got to see it from beginning to end. And when he talks about his significant other, and also I want to say he also talked about police officers, cops, because he's also a lawyer too, so he has some ties to the law. And so as he kind of incorporated a lot of that into his set, and he was pretty funny for most of his set actually, and I'm glad. And I'm glad I got to really get to pay attention to his set, and knowing that obviously more than half of his set people got good laughs out of it. I would say, probably a good 75% of his stuff, people just really enjoyed it, and I could hear the laughter throughout his set. And I like his deliveries between jokes, and I could tell that a lot of it was kind of new to me, so I'm really glad that I really paid attention this time and incorporated some new jokes from what he's told me, and it worked out pretty well. I like that because I had always had a good feeling about Shane Chase because one, he works on different parts of the comedy show with just like getting the word out, paying attention to the setup, knowing that there's a schedule, an agenda, and it's always good to see that he has a good handle on that. Plus, you guys get to see a good bit of talent in the comedy scene and who's actually doing well on these shows once you give them a chance. Also, if you're proven to be a funny person. So, and then aside from knowing that he has his jokes to work on and then releases those jokes on a live crowd, and the fact that they get a positive reaction from it, I actually like that. I actually like that from Shane because I can really say that he's actually a really funny guy, and he's a cool person to talk to. So Shane Chase, I want to say 8.7 out of 10. The next person I believe that went up was Sarah Lee Steiner, and she does talk about magic, and she talks about dating, and I'm trying to remember if Sarah had tried to act like she was hiding, and when she was talking about dating and some quirks about dating, or if it was something about her. And she got some really good laughs throughout her set. Definitely more than half of her set she got some good laughs, so she did pretty well. I want to say that Sarah Lee Steiner, she was a 8.5 out of 10 for her comedy. Then next up we have Victor Paz, and what's cool is that Victor Paz has this really great joke relating to Korean barbecue and dating, and honestly that might have been one of his two best jokes that I can remember. And honestly, that's always pretty awesome because I can totally relate to it, and I do enjoy his sets and stuff. So, hey, where are the lights? Anywho, so yeah, the Korean barbecue thing, it always makes me chuckle because, for one, I used to cook, but I don't cook as much anymore. Pretty much none at all. I probably could still, but I'm just doing so many things. So I'd rather have someone else do what they know what they're doing, and I can enjoy and appreciate the meal. So, I want to say Victor Paz. Victor Paz was a 8.5 out of 10. And then we get to our headliner. Our headliner is Ray Lau, and I've seen the guy quite a few times now. he has a lot of new material from what I last remembered, and he only had like 2 or 3 old jokes, and he had like a whole bunch. For some strange reason, he only wanted to talk. He had a good thing about cowboy hats and AC, and it was kind of interesting how he was trying to incorporate that into a set. So, and you know, he did bring up the whole thing with his introducing comedy to his mom, and then something about a rave with vampires, people being dragged with chains, spiky collars, and then talks about his brother in Chipotle, and there's one about his roommate. So it's kind of interesting with all of that mixed in together, plus some other stuff that he tried, some new stuff like definitely the AC, and then he kind of incorporated a cowboy hat, and he actually wore a cowboy hat during on stage because there was a cowboy hat guy in the crowd. And then there were some interesting moments, but overall, you know, Ray Lau did a great job, and he likes to keep reaching back for some other material, which because people still remember that bit from earlier in the set, and it was funny because he reached back for it sometime during the thing. So that's good that he always knows how to make people laugh during the show, especially incorporating improv, crowd work, and I always like it when he mentions like he doesn't know where this place actually is in Point Loma or in San Diego, because it seems a little off the grid in a way. But it's kind of cool because like sometimes when you kind of mention your environment, your surroundings, and you make it funny, I mean, can't hurt. As long as you're not trash in the establishment, that's always a good thing. But always kind of make little notes about San Diego, and knowing that I guess nobody in the crowd was a military guy, given that San Diego is supposed to be a military town, especially Point Loma. But yeah, it's kind of cool that, you know, Ray Lau remembers his previous times in San Diego, plus does a little research. But you know, he does tell jokes that are relatable to the people. So overall, I really enjoyed Ray Lau's set. I want to say Ray Lau was probably 8.8 out of 10. Super funny show. I'm glad I got to see him again. Good to catch up. But overall, great show from Kacklez. A lot of great comedians on this show. I really enjoyed it. I mean, if you have a chance to ever see Chris Angel or Christy Guy, Shane Chase, Victor Paz, Sarah Lee Steiner, and Ray Lau in a town near you for a comedy show, I mean, go out and see them, because honestly, they do great on any given night, and I've seen a lot of them on multiple occasions, so I can vouch that they are really funny people. So oh, and I did have a grilled chicken sandwich with tater tots, so that was good stuff. I enjoyed it. Overall, I want to say the food was, you know, pretty decent. I want to say it was an 8.6 out of 10. So the next show I went to was a Friday night show, Comedy Heights, at the Lestat's Coffee Place in Adams Avenue. The show is usually run by Al Gabby, but he actually had Rachel Lloyd and Victor Paz running the show, and the headliner just happens to be Matt Stanton. Matt Stanton. I met him one time before. I saw him at the Courtyard in downtown San Diego. I guess you could call that East Village of downtown San Diego. So um, it's his 20-year anniversary in comedy. So I think he was gonna do a certain special for its 20-year anniversary, but I went on a Friday night, and we got Rachel Lloyd on the show. Um, you'd have Andrew Cassidy, Sapna Iyer, Autumn Brewer, Cole Stella, and of course, you have your headliner, Matt Stanton. What I like about this particular show is that it's $5, and that $5 that you just bought to get into the show is a $5 credit you can use at the Lestats Coffee House right next door, since they actually own both rooms actually. So it just so happens I actually tried out the Funky Monkey iced coffee, I believe it was. It wasn't too bad. It had like chocolate banana in it. It wasn't the best thing in the world, but it was pretty good actually. I would say the Funky Monkey from Lestats Coffee was I want to say an 8.3 out of 10. So I got that after the show. Now during the show, I got to see Rachel Lloyd. She was hosting, and she did pretty well with the crowd. She did a little rapping, and she's really funny. Talking about what this one audience member said to her and in relation to Target and athletic build. And then she did this rap, freestyle rap, and then she had this Benadryl game that she wants to talk to us about. So really good stuff. Crowd was laughing a lot during her set, and it's pretty good that she incorporated something new from the times I've now seen her now, and it's great to work on new stuff, and the fact that it works on a new crowd. So kudos to Rachel, and I want to say Rachel Lloyd was a 8.5 out of 10. And then next person we had on was Sapna Iyer. She talked about being a doctor, always asking about her age. And and she talked about a lot of like doctor stuff, and I did like how she does mention about not only being a doctor, but like not to recommend to anybody to get doctor's advice from Chat GPT. So it's kind of cool that she kind of incorporated maybe a couple new jokes, but she has some really solid stuff from before. So this crowd liked her. I want to say Sapna was an 8.5 out of 10 for this comedy set. It's interesting because there were other doctors on the show too. And it just so happens the next one was Andrew Cassidy from LA. He happens to be a doctor. And of course nobody believes him because he has a certain persona and a certain attire, which makes you think that this is the type of doctor you probably shouldn't trust. But he is a doctor though. And surprisingly, this guy was funny throughout his entire set. Like there wasn't one time where it felt like he had like lost the crowd or anything. It felt like he actually was um, got the got the crowd very much engaged throughout his entire set. So surprisingly, I want to say that Andrew Cassidy was 9 out of 10 for a lot of stuff that he was talking about on stage, and I like the fact that he's super funny. A lot of stuff was relatable, and I couldn't stop laughing. Um, I really enjoyed this set. Um, and I have something very interesting to say at the end of this episode, actually. Um, but yeah, Andrew Cassidy. I want to say he was 9 out of 10. The next person to go up, I believe, was Cole Salah, and first time seeing the guy, and he did mention about cats at one point, and then he did something with a mime trick. Um, so, oh, he once blindfolded himself on stage. Um, so he's have an interesting style of comedy from because I don't think anybody else does this type of comedy like he does. Um, and some good parts of it, yeah. He got some good laughs. I want to say he got some good laughs for about maybe half of his set, actually. Um, so I want to say Cole Salah was a um, 8.4 out of 10. Um, and then next person that went up, I believe it was Autumn Brewer, and Autumn Brewer, I believe, had talked about being a wrestler before. Um, I kind of missed the part to clap at that point because, like, for her to be a female and she only wrestled guys in like high school, I think it was, or yeah, high school or junior high, and she did. She talked about how it doesn't really bother her that she lost a lot of the boys when she was wrestling, but that one boy that she did defeat knows that that one boy probably can never live it down, which is probably true. Um, and then she did talk about some uh, dating and stuff, and um, I'm trying to remember if she got into politics or not, but yeah. Other than that, oh, and she had someone read a a kidnapper's like intro. Like if she ever gets kidnapped and they had to put her picture on the news, they would have to read a little intro about her if she was ever kidnapped. Um, so I remember that part. It was kind of funny how she had a fan read out the intro, and she kind of posed on stage as how the picture would look on TV. This is the person who's been kidnapped, and then this is her intro. So that was kind of cool. Her set was kind of mixed reviews though, so she did like get half of her set. I felt that at least half of her set did have some laughs, but then like there's some parts was a little bit it might have taken a little while to get to punchlines, so but I want to say that she was 8.5 out of 10 for her comedy. And then the man of the hour, Matt Stanton. So I got to see him one time before, but this one I paid full attention to the set, and he did manage to talk about fantasy football and Kobe, and he did talk about finding a whip in his hotel room. So he talked about various topics, and he got some good laughs during the set. And yeah, I would say for more than half of the set, he got some good laughs. But I kind of felt that maybe just half the room was laughing at various times, but they were not at the same time. So probably everybody in the crowd had laughed at some point during the set, and it was mostly fun. And I believe this is supposed to be a tape special for Matt Stanton for his 20-year comedy anniversary. So, but overall, great set, and I felt that maybe he was an 8.6 out of 10 for his comedy. But surprisingly though, the best comic that I felt was Andrew Cassidy, and he was more consistent throughout his whole set, and you can hear it in the crowd. He kept getting more laughs with almost every joke that he told, so easily probably the best comic of the night. So those are the two comedy shows, guys. And well, I just wanted to let you guys know the Padres officially made the playoffs. Not only did the Padres get a triple play to clinch a playoff spot, which was never done before in the history of baseball, but the Padres did finish their season 93-69. So they're the number 4 seed in the National League playoff bracket, and they're going to host all 3 games at Petco Park, and they're going to be playing against the Atlanta Braves, who are the number 5 seed, who won one of the 2 games of the doubleheader today. And that means that the other wildcard matchup is the Milwaukee Brewers, the number 3 seed, winners of the Central Division. They're going to be hosting all 3 games at home in Milwaukee against the number 6 seed, the New York Mets, who won, of course, one of 2 games of the doubleheader against the Atlanta Braves. So with all that being said, the Arizona Diamondbacks have been eliminated from the playoffs. It's just that the Braves, the Mets, and the Diamondbacks, they all are all 89 and 73. But the Diamondbacks lose all tiebreakers to the Braves and the Mets. And of course, the Braves have the tiebreaker over the New York Mets. So if the Padres, whoever wins between the Padres and the Braves, will face the number 1 seed, the LA Dodgers. And whoever wins between the Brewers and the Mets will face the number 2 seed, the Philadelphia Phillies. So with that, there's a 5-day layoff, as I mentioned before, and it's going to be hard for anyone in the National League to overcome that, because no one in the National League has ever done it in 2 years, and this is not the 3rd year they're going to have it. So on the other side of the bracket, you got the 6th seed Detroit Tigers. They made a last-minute rush, and they overcame the Minnesota Twins. And the Twins are out of the playoffs, and the Tigers are in. They're going to be playing against number 3 seed, the Houston Astros, who surprisingly are the only team to figure out the 5-day layoff. But of course, there's a negative connotation with the Houston Astros, because they have cheated before with the trash cans and stealing signals and signs. So their batters know what kind of pitch is coming based off of the sound of a trash can, with the help of somebody in the dugout. But I guess now that the Houston Astros are clean now, but you never know. They might have figured out a way, either legally or illegally. Who knows? But yeah, that ends the Detroit Tigers. But the other wildcard matchup is the 4-5 matchup. You get the Baltimore Orioles, number 4 seed, hosting all 3 games against the 5 seed Kansas City Royals. So between the Orioles and the Royals, the winner will face the New York Yankees, number 1 seed. And then the Astros and Tigers, the winner will face the number 2 seed, the Cleveland Guardians. So, oh yeah, the Yankees were also fortunate to get out of the 5-day layoff. Figured it out one time, but they lost to the Astros, who figured it out altogether. The Astros, I believe, were the 2022 World Series champions after figuring out the 5-day layoff and outlasted the Yankees. Out of the 8 times the number 1 or 2 seed had to play after a 5-day layoff, of those 8 matchups, only 3 of them had gone through to the championship series. 2 of them were the Astros and 1 was the Yankees. And I guess apparently the Astros are the only team to win the World Series based on the new format. So unless you're the Astros, you're going to have a hard time doing it unless you can figure out a way how to mitigate a 5-day layoff. But my chances for anyone to win the World Series, I'm probably going to give it to a wildcard team. So, yeah. Now I'll tell you why. I think that in the first round, I'm picking the Padres to beat the Braves. And it's going to be 2-0. Yep, I think it's going to be 2-0. And then the Brewers and the Mets, I think that one's going to go 3 games. And I'm going to go with the Brewers. I think the Brewers are going to win. So, with that being the case, Padres, I think, are going to beat the Dodgers. I think their pitching is much better than the Dodgers pitchers are, because I think they've lost a lot of their guys. And the offenses, I think they're about even. And I guess the edge will come to the pitching and the bullpen, which I think the Padres have a better bullpen and better starting pitchers than the Dodgers do. And the Dodgers have to rely on their offense. And Ohtani, who just so happens to hit, 54 home runs and 59 stolen bases. So he did something that no one has ever done in baseball before, to go 50-50. He almost did 50-60. But aside from that, I don't know if the Dodgers pitchers can hold on. I mean, yeah, they do have Flaherty. They do have Bobby Miller, I believe. They have Knack. Bueller. But I don't know. I think the Padres can probably hit those pitchers, especially either in LA or San Diego. So, I want to say Padres will beat the Dodgers 3-1. Yeah. And then Brewers and Phillies. I think the Phillies will beat the Brewers. And it's going to go all 5 games. So then in the National League Championship Series, we got a rematch, Phillies and Padres. And I think the Padres will finally get through the Phillies. They'll win 4-2. And the Padres will be in the World Series. And on the other side, I want to say the Orioles will beat the Royals in 2 games, 2-0. I want to say the Astros will beat the Tigers 2-1. Then I want to say the Astros will beat the Guardians, and the Orioles will beat the Yankees. And I want to say the Orioles will beat the Yankees in 7 games. No, 5 games. Orioles will beat the Yankees in 5 games. The Astros will beat the Guardians in 4 games. Um, and um, Orioles will beat the Astros in 7 games. So my World Series that I'm thinking of is Padres versus the Orioles. And I'm going to pick the Padres over the Orioles in 6 games. So there you have it, guys. Those are my predictions for the Major League Baseball playoff postseason 2024. Go Padres. I think this is the year. This is the year they're going to do it. And I'm glad. I'll be so happy. San Diego will be a great town to celebrate. This could last for a whole year as a hangover. Could be a start of something really great, actually. So, one more thing. Chargers, Chiefs, Week 4. So the Chargers, I expected them to lose at home to the Chiefs. And even more so with Mahomes being the better of the 2 quarterbacks and that he's more healthy than Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, he still has his high ankle sprain, but he played through it in this game. So the Chiefs beat the Chargers after the Chargers had went ahead to start the game 10-0. But the Chiefs came back and won 17-10. Now, granted, the Chargers defense had kept the Mahomes and the Chiefs at bay for most of the game. But even with the 10-0 lead and Justin Herbert couldn't get the offense going after that point, they didn't score again. They didn't score at all, I think, in the second half. So they were just holding on to the lead, but they finally allowed the lead to tie. And that was off of a long bomb pass from just Patrick Mahomes to, I think it's Xavier Worthy. So, but, both sides, they tried to get ahead, but both defenses did hold on, kept both quarterbacks in check, kept both offenses in check. But in the end, when the Chargers they had 4th and 1, and I think it was by the 3-yard line. They couldn't convert on 4th and 1, and the ball was placed way by the goal line. But the Chiefs came back, and they were able to score a touchdown, which then put the Chargers in position to try to tie the game, but they ended up punting the ball away. And unfortunately, the Chiefs ran out the clock because they kept getting first downs. And they got one more first down right before the 2-minute warning. And at that point, the Chargers already used up all their timeouts. So Mahomes, the mastermind that he is, he figured out a way to get through the Chargers defense, who kept them in check almost the entire game. But I found, some openings to try to figure out how to defeat this Chargers defense, who, by the way, is number 1 in defense in the entire NFL. The Chargers have only given up 50 points in 4 games. That's amazing compared to previous seasons. But the fact that the Chargers weren't fully healthy and they stayed toe-to-toe with the Chiefs gives me a lot of hope that the fact that Justin Herbert made it through the whole game while injured and the Chargers weren't playing at full strength and they kept toe-to-toe with the Chiefs, the 2-time defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs, it's looking pretty good. The next time they're going to face each other in Kansas City later in the season, and I think I had the Chargers beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. Now, previously I did say that the Chargers should have let Justin Herbert rest because next week is a bye week. So give him some time to rest that ankle, and he'll be healthy for the 13-game stretch after the bye week. And honestly, I wish they kind of did, but at the same time, I'm glad that in a way I was kind of proven wrong, because Justin Herbert is a competitor, and the fact that he went through the entire game with a high ankle sprain, and they almost beat the Chiefs. So I think in a way this might scare a lot of NFL teams who are gonna be facing the Chargers, and I'm thinking Justin Herbert will be probably playing the rest of the season with this high ankle sprain, and I'm guessing that Joe Alt, our first round pick offensive lineman, who was top rated, he's going to be back, and he's going to get better and better as the season goes on, and eventually we might see Joey Bosa come back. So stay tuned to see how this Chargers team is going to do. Now, they're on a bye week next week, so the first team they're going to play when they come back is the Denver Broncos. They're going to be playing in Denver, so I think the Chargers can beat them and take over second place when they come back. So yeah, Chargers are 2-2, but I kind of expected them to have a rough patch for the Steelers and the Chiefs, but more of the Chiefs than the Steelers. But the Chargers, I think they're going to be all right. I think they're going to get 10 wins this year at least, but I'm hoping for 14-3. But 10 wins is very realistic, especially with this team that could compete with almost anybody actually. So let's see how the season turns out. Well, guys, it comes to that part of the episode. I'm done talking here. I'm probably going to eat some good food and do some other stuff. And I'm glad to talk to you guys. Remember to watch some good shows, good comedy shows. Watch some good fights. UFC 307 is coming up this Saturday. Alex Pereira is going to be defending his light heavyweight championship against Khalil Roundtree. And, of course, you got Juliana Pena challenging for the women's bantamweight championship against champion Raquel Pennington. And it just so happens Kayla Harrison is fighting on the main card of 307, and she's going to be fighting Vieira. I think her name is Caitlin Vieira, Brazilian top tier fighter. So that should be a fun one, but I think, Kayla Harrison is going to win. Also, Juliana Pena, she's going to win, and Alex Pereira is going to win. And I think there's going to be some sort of face-off between Kayla Harrison and Juliana Pena. That's a money match right there. And, of course, it's always exciting to see Alex Pereira. And, the guy's a scary guy. Anywho, but yeah, watch some good fights. Watch some good comedy shows. Have some good company while having some good food. And, the saying goes, boom! Tiggy Maximus. Signing off. Baby. Alright, later, guys.